Hello everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel, or welcome to my YouTube channel. I am the Real Cass Perry, and this is my doggo Nessa. Hello to Babsy. And today, Nessa and I are going to apparently be reading to you... Hey Ness. So today, I am going to be reading to you about some kerens who have been out in the wild and are definitely in need of some taming. So, this person's teacher in first grade. Let me paint a picture for you. You're 6 or 7 years old, sitting in class with all the other kids. It's time for roundup in the morning, and you and some of the other kids start talking to your peers because it's boring sitting completely still in silence. A very normal reaction from a group of 7-year-olds, yeah? Well, Karen thought that this was unacceptable, and she didn't lightly scold you or anything like that. She would scream at you, and I don't mean yelling. She would full-on scream because you were ruining her routine. Oh, shoot. If you had a more difficult time learning than other kids, you were annoying and problematic. Oh, this lady would have hated me. You'd get scolded for not understanding what others understood during the lessons. Not only that, but she grabbed a kid by the arm to the point where you could literally see faint bruises from her grip. Why? Because he didn't want playtime to end. I get it's annoying when a kid throws a tantrum, but it's absolutely no excuse to physically harm a child. No, I have to agree. There is absolutely no excuse to physically harm a child in any way, shape, or form at any point in time. The only thing that is even, like, if I was this kid's mom, I would be rolling up to the school. I would be rolling up to the school. I would demand that teacher into the office. If they didn't call that teacher into the office, oh, mama. They would probably have to deal... My kid would probably get kicked out of school and I would be arrested because I would kick the principal's ass for protecting the teacher that physically hurt my kid. I was specifically targeted by this woman because of my ADHD. But now, she happily greets me in the hallways because she's old and I'm not as small and frail as I was back then. She caused me a lot of issues later in life because of how I was treated. If you're so offended over a 7-year-old's being 7-year-olds that you physically harm and mentally scar them, maybe, just maybe, you shouldn't be allowed near children at all. And that is true, and I am actually amazed that nobody went into the school to rip a new one into the principal and into that teacher. Why is it that this teacher was still allowed to be near children? How long ago was this? Because at the end of the day, even like 20 odd years ago, a teacher would have been fired for that, like immediately. Unless whoever's parent did not have a problem with this teacher putting bruises on their kid, which, by the way, nobody should ever not have a problem with that. There's a huge issue here about the fact that there are way too many parents who would not go to bat for their kids, let alone kill for them. If somebody was threatening to harm or... actually was threatening to or did in any way, shape, or form harm my child, and this is metaphorically speaking, I would kill for my child. Hell, even my doggo. My beautiful, amazing doggo, who I consider to be my daughter. My beautiful, wonderful Nessa. My perfect, fluffy girl down there. Not only would I kill for my dog, I would burn cities down. So, I can only imagine what somebody would do for their actual kid. So, for this mother to not go to bat for her kid, to not basically go and want to burn the freaking school down on behalf of her bruised up little baby. Not only was this person's teacher a Karen, but their mother was too, because they let this happen. Just both horrible teacher and miraculously horrible parenting. Anyways, here is our next story. 2 Karens in one day. It happened a couple of months ago. Got 2 male Karens in one day. So the first one, I was at the self-checkout, which I hate, by the way, and there was a dude that scanned a bar. Scanned my card to accept it. I noticed at the same time he had the stuff in his bag. I say nothing just in case he was planning to scan it later. And some people get very aggressive when you have some suspicion on them. He paid and left. He pay and leave. What? I find out he didn't scan his stuff except his beer. I try intercepting him. It didn't work, so I call my manager near the exit that follow him. What? I'm not gonna read this one, guys. I can't. I can't read whatever kind of backward ass English that is. I'm sorry. I can only read Canadian. Okay. Kevin tells restaurant employee, "That's not how you make mushu." Well, waiting for my takeout. Okay, how are you going to tell a restaurant employee anything? They're the ones who work at the restaurant. They're the ones who have the actual recipes. If you're going to go out to a restaurant, why are you going to complain about the food? If you don't like the way that they make something, just order something different. Anyway, just saying. Some places do things certain ways for certain reasons. Not every place does things the same. I begin. While waiting for my takeout order, a guy asked the host how they prepared their mushu pork. He was very upset when he heard that they tossed the filling in the sauce rather than leave it plain with the sauce on the side. Kevin says that would make this food too sweet and that they didn't know how to cook. Okay, if they don't know how to cook, why are you in their restaurant? Just a question. If they don't know how to cook, why are you in the restaurant trying to eat their food? Why is it so important to you that you get their mushu pork if they don't know how to make mushu pork? Order something different or go to a different restaurant, Bob. Anyway, I'm gonna keep going. I don't know why this is miffing me off. Oof. Ooh. Anyways, he said that they didn't know how to cook. Why were they bothering being in business? Oh, he lives near Chinatown in San Francisco and knows what Chinese food is supposed to be like. Blah, blah, blah. Oh yeah, blah, 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 butthole. You're a butthole if you're with all your blah, 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 and your butthole's blah, 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 and like... That's the blah, blah, blah. That's what your blah, blah, blah sounds like. It sounds like... Because your butthole is just fighting. Anyway. Where did that even come from? Oh my... I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. The host boss dude that he is takes a breath and says to him, Our way of preparing mushu probably won't be to your liking. Is there anything else we can do for you? If not, have a nice night, and there is the door. This man is much nicer than I would have been. I would have just looked at him and said, well, that's how we prepare the mushu here. If you don't like it, order something else or get the fuck out. Like, I'd have said that so much less nicely. I'd have been so rude. Kevin was so surprised that he wasn't being fawned over. He was silent for a few moments and then quietly ordered a sweet and sour pork. He sat down and didn't say anything more. Best Chinese food ever! So apparently they have really good Chinese food according to OP, and this guy's just a dingleberry who has no idea what he's talking about but thinks that he knows how to make Chinese food, even though the only reason he thinks that is because he lives near San Francisco, Chinatown. Buddy, I'm not going there. This one is titled, Met My First Karen Today. First time posting here, although I've been a long time lurker on this sub. This happened about an hour ago, so it's pretty recent. I work in a chain discount store in the Northeast US, and have only been doing so for 2 weeks. I was ringing up a customer and finished and turning to the next person where I see she's already put her items down on the counter. There's a receipt on it, a return item. I tell her that I cannot return items, only managers and supervisors can due to experience levels. And she told me, yes you are. I've been standing here in line forever. Bitch, it's 2:40 and I've been here since 9. Who's been standing longer? You want to go? Anyway, I told her I couldn't, and she yelled to get the manager. Obviously, class and Karen move. So I went to get my supervisor, who was at another till. She was so disrespectful to my supervisor too, saying, "Oh, you're the manager? This is the worst insert company name here I've ever been in." When my supervisor said that she wasn't the manager, Karen got more annoyed, saying she told me to page my manager, when I couldn't do either, but my supervisor was able to return the item. Karen apologized, shock, but it was my last customer of the day and really put a bad taste in my mouth. Fuck Karens. Yeah, well, you know what? I've been there. I have actually been there to a degree. Honestly, I was actually finished my shift when I was there, in your shoes, my dear. And I feel very bad for you. Matter of fact, I have my own Karen story. A couple of them from when I worked retail. And back then, I was a lot more polite Back then, I was a lot more polite than I am now. I am a lot less polite with people who are cranky with me for no frickin' reason nowadays than I ever was back when I worked retail. Oh my gosh. So, back when I worked retail, I was actually a very, very good cashier to a point where the store actually didn't really put me anywhere other than the cash register a lot of the time. Yeah. So, I would be up at the register my entire shift. I would be let off for like 15-minute breaks and then go back to the register. And I would be there all day for like 7 hours straight, 8 hours straight, however long my shift was that day. That's how long I would be at the cash register, basically. So, at the end of my shift, I had a habit of, if my shift was already over and there was still a really big lineup, whoever came up to come and replace me at the other register, I would typically stay for a little while to help them clear up the lineup, even though it would usually make me a good half hour late leaving. Well, this time the store started packing in as everybody was lining up, so everybody was like filling more into the lineup after I had already been let off. So it was already a long lineup, and then it just got even longer, like went the whole way down the aisle to the other end of the store. It was crazy. And so it went split into two at the two registers and went between the two of us. And I clearly said, like, very, very loudly a few different times to every customer as they went through, basically, that, oh, well, my shift's already over. I just wanted to stay to help get the line cleared up faster so that it's not as much for the other cashier to have to deal with. Like, I've been off work since 2 o'clock. That's pretty important, because I said that to, like, everybody, and I am a very loud talker. Like, I project my voice. They, literally, they had to stop letting me use the intercom at the drugstore because I was so loud that I was hurting people's ears. Like, I was giving both customers and employees alike migraines because I am so naturally loud. Like, I don't even need a microphone. I don't need a microphone. I have a really crappy microphone on my cute little 4K camera that's like, yeah, I project so well that actually picks up. Like, I'm naturally loud. Like, I'm not even yelling. It seems like it probably sounds like I'm yelling to everybody in the neighborhood, but I'm not yelling. I'm actually just naturally loud. I don't have an inside voice. I wish I had an inside voice. It would be really nice to have an inside voice. Anyways, let's get back to the Karen stories. To this day, I will always know that a small cyclone... Oh, this Karen really wanted her penny back. To this day, I will always know that a small cyclone, now called a frenzy, from Friendly's, was $3.69 in 1999. You see, I was working the ice cream area during a weekend day when Karen walked up and wanted a small cyclone. During that time, the store manager told us to ask if people wanted pennies back since there was a shortage. After taking Karen's order, she gave me $5. This means I have to give her a penny, a nickel, and a quarter back, along with $1. Okay. I asked if she wanted her penny, to which she put her hands on her hips and huffed, "Yes, I want my penny back!" Now, to make a cyclone, I needed to mix a soft serve ice cream with fillings and then insert the special spoon into a custom mixer. This spins the spoon and mixes everything up, which is super wasteful, by the way. There was one issue with this. Sometimes the spoons would break, and this was new technology at the time. After a few times of having to throw out the product because there could be plastic chunks when the spoon breaks, we took to just spinning by hand. I make her ice cream and then hand it to her. She complains that I didn't use the mixer and demands I use the spoon mixer, so I take it back, hook it up, and spin it, making sure I count out how long we are supposed to spin so she can't complain about that. This makes a mess, and I need to wipe down the cup. And when I handed it back, I missed a spot. She used a paper napkin to wipe it down, and she asked for another napkin. At that point, Mary, a waitress, steps in front of the computer, which had the napkins on a shelf underneath. I asked Mary if she could pass me one and hand it to Karen. She now demands to see my manager, so I call the shift manager, Maggie, over, and I step out of my view, and Mary joins as well, as since she is curious as to what this woman's problem is. She goes off about how unprofessional I was. I was begging to keep the penny as a tip. I didn't use the mixer properly. I handed her dirty ice cream, and I was rude to the nice waitress. Oh my gosh. Maggie calms her down and gives her a refund to get Karen to leave. On my next shift, Maggie came over and told me that she called corporate to complain about me. Maggie had my back, and she and Mary spoke with corporate, and nothing else came from it except for all of us now mimicking the noise that the machine makes so that people would be none the wiser. Okay, that's kind of great. I love the fact that this Karen's probably going to go back into this ice cream place and just be like, okay, so this happened, have any changes been made, and this teenager's still gonna be there, does not give a shit about their job, and probably still gonna ask for if they want the penny bag. Like, nothing's gonna change. Nothing's gonna change. Nothing came out of this Karen calling corporate. Nothing came out of this Karen talking to the manager other than a bunch of people laughing at her. I don't know why. Just this Karen going and doing all of this and having all of these people make fun of her now it feels like karma enough to me. It really does. You know what? The title doesn't really make sense anymore because these Karens don't need to be tamed because karma's gonna do it for them. Karma's doing it for them at some point. Anyways, I love you guys. I will see you in the next video. Please like the video if you haven't liked the video. Please subscribe if you haven't subscribed. And please dislike the video if you dislike the video. But tell me why you dislike the video down in the comments if you hit the dislike button so that I can do better in the next video so that you guys can have more fun. I love you. Bye-bye. Mwah.